So with that, I suppose we will go ahead and kick off the 2020 Creative Reading Writing Night, sponsored, brought to, hosted by The Crossings, put on by The Crossings, everything with love to The Crossings. Different format this year than last year, obviously, in the wake of everything that's going on, but you all know this. I'm just talking because it makes me feel important. But without further ado, we will go ahead and get this night started. Our first reader this evening is Jamie Mast. So please put your hands together for Jamie.
Hi guys. So I will be reading a short story today, and it's titled Unimpressed. I've never really considered myself a supervillain. At most, a mild annoyance or pain in someone's arse. But hey, aren't we all? But take down one too many guys in tights, and the next thing you know, you're on a wanted list, and we have a problem on our hands. Seriously, what's up with the tights? If you wear your underwear on the outside of your yoga pants, are your powers enhanced? Or is it because you get dressed in the dark and dug a hole too deep to get out of this ridiculous mess? Yet, here I was, wiping the blood from the corner of my mouth and pulling my gloves on a little bit tighter. Rolling my shoulders, I let the dust settle around us. My groceries were smashed across the floor. What? I may be a supervillain, but I'm human too. I need to eat. I should have just stayed home today, was all I could think to myself, as another guy in tights stepped on my box of Lucky Charms. So much for luck. I'm not even properly dressed for this, I thought, as I stared down at my sweats and my oversized snow boots. I pulled up my scarf so it covered the bottom half of my face. This is what I get for accidentally wearing my work coat. You get recognized too easy. Tights probably thought I was stealing food, or at least planting another bomb. Next thing I know, he's calling me out and punching me through 5 shelves of produce. For a hero, he does a lot more damage than me, and I'm pulling my hair. The tights boy ran forward, fist flying, brains missing, and I kicked a banana, letting it land under his foot. He slid completely out of control towards me. Picking up a bag of flour from my basket, I let the weight form to my hand. I debated on using it, but then again, it would make the fight more dramatic, to have it explode everywhere. That's what most of these fights are anyways, dramatic forms of entertainment. You do it for the fame, the money, and you get your name out there. But once you hit the top, is it really worth it? Grabbing the bag tighter, I slammed it hard into Tightsport's face, knocking him unconscious in a cloud of white. Should have picked on someone in your own league, little boy. Standing up, I shook my arm out and looked around. These sort of things had lost their... what was the word for it? Excitement? The same thing over and over again. I tried to make my life a little bit more enjoyable, yet there are little things like law and order and law enforcement that stand in my way. We fight it out a few rounds and then I disappear and they claim victory. I mean, sure, why not? They need a little help boosting their ever-inflated egos. At this point, it looked like most people had fled. A few poked their heads out from behind shelves, too afraid to move. I let out a long groan and slowly gathered my stuff. Honestly, I should put on a show, but what for? A good villain is never really appreciated. Most of my groceries were too damaged, but so much for dinner plans. I was just gonna have to order carryout once again. I walked up to the front of the store and noticed the young girl cowering underneath the register. I ain't gonna get these scanned, am I? I said after a bit and dug out some cash. I tossed it on the counter and headed to the door. Keep the change, I said, mostly to myself. Honestly, I don't know what I expected. A supervillain paying for groceries is unheard of. Reaching the door, I felt like I was forgetting something and ran a hand through my hair. Ah, right, dramatic exit. I threw my head back and let out a cackle. I didn't even have to turn around to see as the store seemed to burst into life as people screamed and ran for cover. Idiots. I tossed the groceries into my car and rubbed my throat a bit. How do the other wackos do it? That hurts. I pulled on my seatbelt and carefully pulled out the parking lot, putting on my blinker. I was halfway down the street when the police cars raced by. They were most likely heading to the grocery store. I watched them go by before turning the corner and heading back to my apartment. As I walked inside, I waved to the landlady as she tended the flower pots on the front counter. Now, I know what you're thinking. Aren't you a villain? I guess, but it doesn't mean I can't be nice to people around me. Like, wow, at least Marge is nice enough to give me a roof over my head. Dear me, child, what happened to you? She called. Supervillain at the market. I wouldn't recommend on going. You have the most terrible luck, don't you? I could hear her chuckle as the door to the stairway swung shut. Staring up the many flights of stairs, I cursed the fact that I didn't have any powers. Super speed or flight would be nice right about now. With another long groan, I put one foot in front of the other and slowly made my way up the stairs. 342 steps later, I'm back in my apartment with my henchman, my cat. Honestly, it might be the other way around at this point. He can be more diabolical than me most days. I set the basket of groceries on the counter and sighed. I got you another basket to sit in. Another guy in tights ruining shopping again, I said with a sigh and gave him a good head rub before flipping on the TV. The background noises were always nice, blocked out the endless silence of living alone and the annoying sound of your neighbors all in one go. Henchy knocked the remote off the counter and meowed loudly with disapproval. Chill, I'm gonna order takeout, greedy. Let me know when they arrive. I will have to get all this stupid flour off. Henchy meowed back and I was half convinced he actually knew what I told him. Wouldn't that be nice? A cat who could help around the house. If only. Then he could finally pay for rent for crashing here. I had just pulled on my PJs when I heard a knock at the door. Quickly wrapping my hair up in a towel, I unlocked the bathroom door and went to get me some pizza. I heard you, I'm coming, I called and grabbed my wallet. I unlocked the front door. How much do I owe you, I asked, but they didn't respond. I looked up to come face to face with a person dressed completely in black. Their face was covered with a helmet that kind of reminded me of that one movie beside the computer. You know, didn't it start with a T? Something flew past my face, and I ducked quickly as the person jumped at me. They flew over the top, rolling into my apartment. Spinning around, I shut the door behind me and locked it. That's one thing I hate, attacking without warning. Where were the good old-fashioned quips and witty one-liners? Nah, it was all fighting, no fun. But seriously, 2 in 1 day? Where do these types even sleep? I checked my watch. Well, at least my delivery was supposed to arrive in 5 minutes or so. So, I just had to get rid of the trash before then. But that doesn't mean I can't play with them first. A knife landed on the door right to the right of my face, knocking my towel off and cutting off the lock of my hair. I watched as it slowly spiraled to the floor. All right, trash. Do you know how much a haircut costs these days? I called, looking over the sheared locks. They didn't respond, but rather raced forward. Grabbing the knife out of the door, I swung forward, cutting them off, making them dodge into the kitchen area. Wait, no, my groceries. Well, at least left of them, I guess. Grabbing stuff off the counter, they threw anything they could find at me. My new pots and pans, silverware, and my poor groceries. Dodging a few and catching others, I made my way across the kitchen towards them. Come on, man, I just replaced these, was all I could grumble before our hands met. We were locked in a battle of strength, and dang, this person was pretty strong. Well, good thing I'm a villain and rules don't apply to me. Knocking out their legs from under them, I pushed them into the counter with a loud bang. They went tumbling over to the other side, knocking over both of my stools in the process. Spinning around, they threw a stool at me, and I could feel it shatter on the wall behind me with a deafening crack. And now, I would have to do another IKEA run. And this time without my work jacket, mind you. Grabbing the broken stool legs, I jumped over the counter to meet them. The person had crawled a bit, but not far enough. I swung down, pinning the person to the floor. Each strike, they seemed to barely dodge, wiggling like the pathetic earthworm they are, sticking on the hot cement. Stop moving, idiot. They grabbed the stool leg and yanked down, spinning us across the living room floor. We ran into the couch with a heavy thud. The person tried to get up, jumping over it, only to fall as I yanked them back down. The couch tipped over with a loud thud. Henchy raced from the room with a howl, knocking over a vase while he was at it. Jerk. The person spun, surprised at the sound, and giving me enough time to knock their head good and hard. They collapsed to the floor, leaving me standing alone in victory in my apartment, out of breath, holding a wooden leg broken beyond recognition. Never leave your back open. Ow, I need to work out. I haven't had a good fight like this in forever. I could feel a small smile tug at the corner of my mouth until it stretched into a grin, and then a full-on chuckle. Damn, it felt good to be a villain.
Cheers for Jamie. Cheers for Jamie. Thank you, Jamie. Oh, that was wonderful. Here with some of those, the Zoom respond claps. Let's get the Zoom respond claps going. If you don't feel like clapping your actual hands. All right. Thank you, Jamie, for starting us off on such a strong note. With that story completed, we will move now to our next speaker of the evening, Sarah Loroff. Everybody give a nice warm welcome, warm Zoom welcome for Sarah.
Can you hear me? Yep, okay. So this poem is about coronavirus. I know what you're thinking. Oh, how appropriate. Yes, it is. Here we go. In this time of uncertainty, where do we find ourselves? Hidden behind a curtain, repairing those cracked frames that are still under warranty, swapping away those the rose-colored smudge on your lens so you can see more clearly. Or perhaps we're humming a song, maybe brushing up on the word liturgy. How many days has it been and how many more to come? 20? 30? This isn't my favorite season by any means. Nobody to observe roaming the hills looking for a place to picnic. No eyes to stare into longingly. No pupils to watch dilate. The multicolored flakes that give the iris dimension, not to mention the soul on the other side of that window who watches and waits. Waits for another face that isn't their own reflection to glance and tell them, it's okay. Well, I see you. I notice your fire that never stops burning. It flares brighter whenever the heart starts yearning. But some days it only glows because it's grown weak. There's barely enough light to get you through the night shift. Oh, but what better time to grieve than this? The hand you wanted to hold, those laughs you wanted to chase, the rose you wanted to give. Wrap them in your sorrows and top it off with a bow. What is that bow made of? Well, no one has to know. Hold it tightly, tread lightly, to the grave of the things I let go. Scrape the raw soil with your bare flesh. It will hurt at first, but no one said this would be easy. Now that this space has formed, feel around, pat it down, because if there are any cracks, you won't be able to fully walk away without looking back, wondering if you really buried it or just forgot about it. Tears will come naturally, no doubt about it. They'll storm in uninvited, ready to make a scene. Let them. Let it bring you to your knees. As thunder rolls, so do the streams, down your face and into the earth. The wind will cry out, this isn't fair. But don't fight back. Feel it ripple through your clothes and send a chill down your crooked spine. For it is when we are most vulnerable that we reflect the most divine. You hear a faint whisper telling you, it's gonna be fine. It's getting dark out. Even the sun couldn't stay. It had to set to prepare for the next morning. And so you follow. Oh, but this isn't goodbye. Visiting hours are not limited by your ability to move on quickly. So return over and over. Bring others with you. One day, you'll find fields of roses. Inhale the scent of sweet memory. Smile. And then, when you're ready, and only then, give them away.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful poem about current events. Ah, that's so good. I love all you people. You're such good writers. All right. So thank you again to Sarah. Give her all of the love that you can muster through this beautiful platform. And with that, we will move on to our third speaker of the evening. Please give it up for Micah Ellenwood.
Hey, all right. This poem is about my brothers, and it's titled My Brothers. We do not look the same, act the same, talk the same. I say hi and hello. They say sup or yo. I am blonde and blue-eyed, and they are all different shades of brown. Together, we look like an iced caramel macchiato. They and me, we share a bond. One that only makes sense to us. We are family, not by blood or marriage. No, our bond is not fate. We chose each other. We chose to become siblings, to become one another's biggest fan. Seth, Matthias, CJ, Mike, and Mars, you showed me a love that breaks barriers. Race, gender, societal barriers. Thank you for choosing to love me, for I will always love you.
Snaps all the way around. Lovely, lovely, lovely poem, Micah. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And we will keep chugging right along. Welcome next to the virtual stage, Elizabeth Coogan.
Hey, so I'm gonna read a poem called "The Graveyard Between Services." I think this is where the children died. I see him walk towards the plastic swings, my little shadow following, his eyes watching. I don't let him watch when I mourn and cry. They are all inside, cookies in hand. They want us two, to fill the void. They had their chances, failed their tries. I refuse to be an obliging piece of their plans. Shadow. He follows me. I think he forgets now, but he did. There are no trees, our toes to touch. There are no hills to grass stain my skirt. There are no friends with whom to avoid the flirts. Inside are only empty pews, not else much. But we look outside, standing alone, breathing. The field next to the playground holds no stones, but live prodigy in the shape of imaginary ghosts. But we, my shadow and I, are the ones actually dying.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Absolutely gorgeous. Seriously, you guys are all so freaking talented. I love you all. You're the best.
You'll change your song in a moment.
And providing his own intro, everybody, please give a warm round of applause to the certainly something Everett Harbaugh.
All right, I have 3 different poems that I'm gonna read. So none of them have names because I'm lazy. I'm just gonna start with them. So I yearn for the embrace, the touch on my face, the welcome precipitation, the joyous encapsulation. When can it finally begin? I must go down to the sea again. So, next one, watch me, watch me, watch me as I go down down to the water, the free, sensuous, loving, non-physical but physical water. It is beauty personified, the perfect example, the 31st proverbial woman. It is a god, wild, untamed, uncontrolled, the god of the Genesis, the god of change, Spinoza's god, natural yet unnatural, beauty but horror, absolute, not the absolute, simply one of many. Now, 1 second. This is what you've all been waiting for. Love and grace simultaneously, beauty and grace equally. The ocean is like Shrek.
Thank you,
That's
Everett. Our lives have been changed for the better, and it is in no small part because of whatever you just spent 45 seconds doing. Moving on from that, we move now to our next speaker, Mr. Josiah Hackett. Everybody give a warm welcome to Josiah.
Hi. If you can hear me, I'm going to just go ahead. So I'm going to read a bunch, as many as I can. So the first one I'm going to read is The Moon. The sun is dark. It rises and sets. It follows me like depression, always watching. I can never get away. I'm filled with regrets. I didn't do anything today, and there it is mocking. This next one's called Ideas. Ideas. They baffle me to no end. They cozen me into a false sense of hope. They trap me. I think they're my friend, but I'm not controlled by them. They're my telescope. This one is something that I read in poetry class one time. It was incomplete, but now it's finished. All right, this one's called Indecision. Goes the TV. It's 3 o'clock and I have to pee. I sit here. The blanket keeps me, nothing but warm, not having the freeze. I cry out, Mama? I'm afraid, appealing to the melodrama. I sit here, the floor feeling like lava, nothing but warm. Thanks, Obama. Something squeaks out of the blue. I have to check it out, that hullabaloo. I sit here, action about to ensue, pee to imbue, nothing but warm. I shoot up like bamboo, impeding kung fu. I stand here out of my wits, about to poo, nothing but cold, not knowing what to do. And then I'll read 2 more. Sorry, I'm reading a lot. This one's called I'm Free or The Robot. There's something robotic about us. I really can't place my middle finger on it. I whir through all the possibilities at breakneck speed as I figure out which flavor of motor oil I will drink today. Yeah, I might have been a little harsh the other day and felt no remorse, but I'm human, I promise. I made a promise I can't keep. That's human, right? Right? I'm human, right? Answer me. I'm human. I have to be. What other excuse do I have? And then here's the last one, which is a sadder one. I'm sorry that I said the sad for last, but here goes. This one's called Cancer. It's hungry. It eats. It's hungry. It eats. Hungrier than me when I starve myself. Well, not on purpose, I promise. Cross my heart and hope to die. But not in that way, please. Not in that way. Make it quick like a heart attack or an aneurysm. Take a pot of noodles full to the brim with bubbles or bubbling over. Or take a piece left out in the sun with flies are flying over. Which one would you rather have? I'd rather boil away or boil over than decay away. But I must eat as it eats me. Thanks.
Wonderful, Josiah. Thank you so much. Those are all so good. The indecision one, I really, really like. I remember you reading the first half of that. All right. So yes, round of applause all around for Josiah. Next up would have been Devin. And since he is feeling unwell and unable to join us, we will pause for a brief moment of silence to remember Devin. Okay, so our next speaker now with no Devin. Now, don't take that as a knock against him. That was just a joke. I think Devin's a wonderful person. But with that, our next speaker tonight will be Miss Haley Gaff.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to be reading a series of poems titled Mama. 5 years old and you tear yourself away from your mama's grasp. Racing to the swings, the monkey bars, the slides. You don't look back, not once. You don't see, but if you had glanced, if only for a moment, the world around you, you would have seen the light playing through the trees, dancing within your mama's glassy eyes. Oh, the joy she has found in you, but still, you run. Wait. If only for a moment. Remember that light, dear one. 7 years old now and you know best. Speaking your mind with defiance, balling your fists tightly, with glossy eyes you stare at your Velcro shoes as she whispers to you, it's okay to share. It's okay to let him play too. But it's not. You know it's not. And wondering why your mama is not on your side, you scream at the boy standing beside you, his fingers intertwined on the rope. I was playing here first. She looks at you, gazing like one might at the mountains, awe and terror and a realization of who you're becoming, of the you in those balled fists and teary eyes and shaky voice, the you that she doesn't recognize, the you that is all your own making. 10 years old and you still haven't learned to share. Mama has looked at you every day since that first fight, whispering her heart into the deafness of yours. It's okay to be angry, but don't hang on to that anger. But Mama didn't get it, did she? It wasn't about the sharing, was it? You wanted her on your side, to defend you, right? You're confused how her whispers, so gentle, can seem like shouting echoes, reverberating off of the emptiness you feel inside. Mama, I don't understand. Why don't you help me? Your brows furrow, deep wells, and you decide you will no longer come back to the park. Mama stares intensely at you when you tell her, just don't forget it, baby. Don't forget the light. You never make any sense, you shout at her. And then you go running again, away from her. 13 years old now, and since you decided to stay indoors, in that cramped apartment with its tiny windows and thick blinds, you say much more to sting her. You don't mean to, except that you do. You really do. Your hands have found a permanent resting place, each one upon a hip, and your eyes, little one, they are like bowling balls the way you roll them, round and round and round, because you know best, right? That must be it, you have finally concluded. Mom is here because she has to be, not because she knows what is best. Let's go outside, love. Let's see the sunshine. I don't want to. You close your door behind you, a thudding you've never made before, a slam you don't mean, except that you do. You really do. Oh, my dear. Mama gazes at the bottom of the door. Darkness and your escape into your PlayStation, wafting through, reminding her of all that she cannot know about you. Don't forget it. Do not let yourself forget it. 15 years old and boy, you are becoming. You play basketball and you're popular among your people. Their praise is all that matters to you. Girls stare your way. They invite and tempt your attention, and you let them. And the boys admire you, like you know they should, as you walk on by. Your hands grasp the hands of those you find worthy, hug the girls you find pretty. You've become a force, as everyone does, as Mama saw you becoming. This is my hallway, your demeanor at school exclaims. You don't have to talk. You don't have to say a single thing, and they part ways, to let you play with whomever and whatever you please. And that is just how you like it. They give, and you take. The world is yours right now, or so you think, dearest one, but don't forget that light. 17 years old, and you've fallen. It's taken what feels like a lifetime for you to feel this hurt, driving to your girlfriends out in the bitterness of January. Your tires found themselves in the ridges of ice so black, the light wouldn't have even revealed it. Wrecked in the ditch, you call Mom. I can't feel my right hand. Mama, I need you. I'm coming. An ambulance, doctor, and x-ray later, and you've broken it. More than a scratch, you finally crashed, and you feel the pain. I thought I'd be fine. For the quickest second, I thought I could control it. Much of this life is out of your control. Forces of nature will ignore you. They have no plan. They only are, and will not heed your desires. It's dawn when, together, you leave the hospital, the morning fresh and bright. Mom slowly stops, eyes closed, and face turned heavenwards. There were trees swaying above you both, and this time, you stared at her, only for a moment. It feels familiar. Have I been here before? Have I walked here before? Have I seen this before? Mama, you whisper. Let's go. 18 years old and you've finally lost. The scholarship, your girlfriend, the rest of your school year. You graduated suddenly. I'm so proud of you, love. But you felt so lost and so incredibly alone, left within the deep wells of you that you couldn't seem to escape. Mom saw how your head leaned upon your hand as you gazed at the TV. Let's go for a drive somewhere, she whispered. Out of the cramped apartment, racing past the hospital, your head still leaning upon your hand, you gazed, now, out the car's window. Did you see it yet? Almost there. The route looked suddenly familiar. Mama? The car parked and you didn't move. Mom opened your door and grasped your left hand, holding tighter than anyone else ever did. She pulled you to the swings, the monkey bars, the slides. Mama, shh, look. Do you see it yet? Moments pass as you stare. It's okay. You suddenly remember the whisper, unfolding all around you. You close your eyes, turning your face heavenwards, the trees above letting droplets of light fall through the leaves. You open your eyes and gaze at your mama, with awe and terror, for how she loves you, for what she knows. You see her now. You really do. The light dances within her glossy eyes. You whisper, I see it, Mama.
Wow. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Another wonderful round of applause for Haley and an incredible set of poems. Thank you so much for sharing with us. That was truly lovely. Truly, truly, truly. All right. So next up, we have Miss Judy Frey. Please give a warm round of applause for Judy.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to read just one poem. This poem is my indecision between my own experience and my view of my parents' commitment of love. Tightly and loosely. Love loosely, because love slips away. Love loosely, no, love tightly, because love is flesh and blood. Hold tightly to all those hugs and slippery kisses, those hands that cling and then let go, the scent of skin captured in cloth, set free from the drawer drawn open. Love loosely, because there is pain in the seagull's cry, a longing for autumn apples and knuckles blue with veins. An x-ray of arthritis showing the bones of hands, working hands, that loved tightly and held loosely my shoulders. So love tightly, because what I want to tell you is, love doesn't hold tightly back. You can love and lose, and having loved and lost, never find love again. So love loosely. But the rings that grow tight with time after 49 years come off and spend their days in a box, in a plain box. So love tightly. Hold tightly to love and loosely, because you never know what you're going to find. A box, a ring, an x-ray, a hand, flesh and blood and frail. So hold tight and let love loose.
Wonderful, wonderful piece, Judy. Thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. Absolutely beautiful. Another warm round of applause for Judy as we move to our next speaker, Miss Summer Schindler.
Hi. So I'm just gonna read a really short poem. It's literally like 30 seconds, just about two people kind of noticing each other for the first time. So yeah, it's called An Encounter to Wonder. A path of life, a pattern, a line, a schedule crossed and intertwined with mine. Purpose unborn except that of time, a glance, a step, we remain blind. The heavens, the earth, they all align to create the moment in which we collide. A stone, a stumble, a chance to define. He catches me and I fall even farther out of line. An intake of breath, a greeting with our eyes, and now we have met for the last first time. An encounter to wonder, is it a sign? If his hand reaches out, it will meet mine. That's all.
Thank you so much, Summer. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolutely gorgeous. I've read that entire collection. She was in my workshop group. It's really good. It's really, really good. All right, so another round of applause for Summer, and we will move to our next speaker this evening. Please give a warm welcome for Miss Michelle Moredas.
Hi guys, I'm going to read a poem about my experience in Thailand last year, and it is called Buddhist Fog. The air is so heavy, a thick, cumbersome smog. Among tropical life and pad thai noodles, the spirits create this Buddhist fog. Satan stands in gold disguise, statue of lies, watching over his city. He laughs at God and mocks, "O Lord, where is your pity?" The devil taps his foot and the people gather, like speedy flies to adorn their devious master. Their temple of hell is a dragon in glitter, breathing in incense, blowing out fire. Slipping flames under window panes and forked tongues through slightly open doorways for praise this god enslaves. With burning incense, he burns the innocent, scorching the hearts of sons and daughters, whom he leaves to rot on street corners of brothels and bars. And then I was also going to read another one called Clear Telescopes. There is something wonderful about clear squares on the wall, showing movies all the time, offering free tickets. With these, straining your eyes is a low possibility. These clear squares never shift their eyes. They stare at the neighbors, the walkers, joggers, and dogs, all the time. Through these invisible telescopes, I have been watching and aging from 3 to 4 to 5, and as I rise from 9 to 10 to 25, I curiously gaze at life, cycling and spinning outside, in the breeze, through blades of grass and maple trees, but in the glare, through mirrored light, I also look inside.
Beautiful, beautiful pieces, Michelle. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, we now move to our next speaker. We're making really good time. So another shout out to Devin for not feeling well. That's a joke. I love Devin. I'm sorry. You guys let me host things. You have to deal with this.
We miss you, Devin.
We do. I love Devin. He's a cool dude. All right. So with that, we move now to our next speaker this evening, Mr. Clay Seidenbender. A warm welcome to Clay, everybody.
Hello, everyone. I'm first going to read a poem entitled Shepherd's Pie. A cloaked man with a staff does not harm the woolly sheep. He calls out to the animal like a song whispering through the fields. He leads the flock past the orchards, filled with soured melons, while some of the beasts follow the crowd. Another loses its head. The black sheep bleats disquietly for following a blind man. Whittling blades make a sheep lose its wool. The black sheep cries foul about a wolf with a full stomach. And the second poem I'm going to read today is entitled Conservation Spiel. Perhaps I yell into the breach, stop! Would my voice really interfere with the current? The stones throw distance of quack. I may only redirect the path. Consider this. The duck quacking down the river might attack you. What then, sir? Be that the duck will someday flap its wings, while my eyes supersede the character of the fowl. Reproach its snarky bill. I admire its gumption, so ruffled the feathers. Mine were once that silver. Chiding young waterfowl is useless, but stern warnings might do.
Lovely poems, Clay. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Wonderful, wonderful work. We now move to our next speaker. Just a few more to go. So with a warm, warm round of applause, please welcome Ciara Garcia.
Hi. Just a warning, this poem is a work in progress. It was based on one of the writing prompts like a week ago or two, so yeah. Most nights it wasn't difficult to fall asleep, but then again, this wasn't like most nights. Most nights are dreamless, a quick tease of death where my eyes don't open till dawn. No film playing in my head of epic adventures in the REM. This night was different. I was awake in my unconscious and I saw you. I saw the crinkle of your eyes that made it look like I was gazing into an Arizona sunset. I was frozen in place until your arms engulfed me to you. Just like midday of a cloudless July, it was inviting at first, but I started to swelter. It felt eerily too ideal. Taking a sharp breath in, I am faced with obsidian and heart palpitations. I never knew nightmares could be disguised so sweetly.
Wonderful, wonderful poem, Ciara. Thank you so much. It's always it's very cool when poems start as writing prompts and then become something. So wonderful, wonderful work, Ciara. A fantastic work in progress and a fantastic poem on its own merit. Next up, reading for us this lovely evening will be Miss Shelby Moody. Everybody give a warm welcome for Shelby, please.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Shelby. Can you hear us?
Okay. No, not really, no. Y'all can hear it. It might be delayed. So, my poem is called Blooming. When I was 16, I started a habit. One that was out of fear and passion. An object I found used for pretty, I decided would be best suited for something more appealing. I flicked up a light and burned the metal red. The ice so cold the metal it steamed, but I screamed louder than the tears that fell at my feet. 5 years later, I look at the art and see how the flowers bloomed right in that spot. My art is gone, but the flowers remain. A better picture than the one I've made. That's it.
Wonderful, wonderful poem, Shelby. Thank you so, so much for sharing with us. Absolutely lovely. All right, and now we move to our second to final speaker tonight. Please put your hands together and give a warm welcome to Miss Lynn Ford.
Hi everyone. This poem is written because of Corona. I was given a prompt, and it's a reverse poem. Okay. A virus is taking over, and it is false to presume that the world can recover. Fear is the product of isolation. They lie when they say that we are not alone. There is no savior, so I'd be foolish to tell you there is a cure to this madness, and that the suffering will end. The reality is that we are like drowning children, and I don't believe we are going to survive. We are like birds, closer to death every day, so I don't believe for a minute that we are soon to be free. We are slaves. Sweetness is just a temporary taste, so try to remember only the delusional claim that the valleys lead to mountains. Panic attacks are forever the norm, and I can't possibly understand how the quarantine will fade into memory. And all this can be true for you unless you choose to reverse it. The quarantine will fade into memory, and I can't possibly understand how panic attacks are forever the norm. The valleys lead to mountains, so try to remember only the delusional claim that sweetness is just a temporary taste. We are slaves, soon to be free, so don't believe for a minute that we are closer to death every day. We are like birds. We are going to survive, and I don't believe we are like drowning children. The reality is that the suffering will end, and that there is a cure to this madness. So I would be foolish to tell you there is no savior. We are not alone. They lie when they say that fear is the product of isolation. The world can recover, and it is false to presume that a virus is taking over.
Wonderful, wonderful poem. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm always very impressed by people who can do those reverse poems. I tried to write one once, and it's so much work, man. You're a better writer than I. Truly, truly, truly. All right, and with that, that brings us to our final reader of the night. I was gonna do this really long, fun joke intro about how cool he is, but spoiler alert, it's me, and I did that joke last year, and I thought that it would be kind of tacky to repeat it. So I have a few poems that I will read. Two of them are on the shorter side. One of them is on the less shorter side because that one was my poetry project, and so I'll conclude with that one. But this first poem is a poem that I wrote called Reflections on a Particularly Gorgeous Sunset. I'm driving home after picking my sister up from a thing, and I can't help but notice the sky. The sun is setting later and later, but still not late enough to trick you into thinking we're anywhere else but February. I'm driving west, pursuing the last remnants of light like a Pac-Man ghost while darkness waka-wakas after me. I think if I keep driving straight forever, I might never lose sight of the sunset. Where the earth meets the horizon is a sliver of burnt orange, the patented palette of a gorgeous sunset, pressed tight below a dark cloud, splitting the canvas in two, or three, I should say, because another cloud rests just above, thinner, less imposing, separating the center swatch from the pale blue aftermath of the sun returning to sleep. And sandwiched between the clouds that separate the sky like checkout lane dividers is a final stripe, and I swear that it's mint green. I've never seen a mint green sky. Now, a man smarter than I would probably call it sea foam, and a man not partially colorblind might just call it blue. But since I halted a family game night to prove to my father that Tom Brady held the NFL record for touchdowns in a single season, never have I been so sure of something so inconsequential. Between the warm glow of a stereotype and the draining life of its body, I swear to the gods that I don't believe in, that sky was mint green, and it was beautiful. Thank you. This next one is a poem that I wrote on Tuesday night / Wednesday morning, depending on your semantics. It was like 3:30. But it's just a fun little rhyme that came to me while I was in the bathroom of all places, because I'm a very professional writer, and it was like the muse was like, you're gonna write this, so now I'm gonna read it for you. Fun little rhyme. This is called Polishing Up for the Afterlife. Were I to cross the Acheron, I'd bring along with me a die befit with 20 sides and roll persuasion, see? Were I to cross the Acheron, I'd lie my way aboard and hope that Charon not take note, my payment lacking poor. Were I to meet Anubis in the dim-lit halls of death, I'd hope the jackal take no mind to my trickster's breath. Were I to meet Anubis and my heart put to the weight, I'd bluff the scales and feather float through Duat's sure-fine gates. Were I to acquaint Odin on some trans-Midgardian flight, I'd tell him tales of foes and armies vanquished by my might. Were I to acquaint Odin, I would brandish words like swords, and into Valhalla I'd step, a hero of the Nords. Were I to find the big JC standing near the gates, I'd tell him tales of all the love I'd spread unto his name. Were I to find the big JC and con my heart through love, I'd smile and wave an entrance gave, then fly swift like a dove. Were I to look on Vishnu while he tallies up my points, I'd ask if karma took account the judgment of his voice. Were I to look on Vishnu, we would surely meet again. When I returned, a new life lived, and death an ancient friend. Were I to chance the Buddha 'neath the tree where I now lie, I'd tell him sure as life now lives, I get why we must die. Were I to chance the Buddha and he asked me what I mean, I'd note his move to shatter my enlightenment obscene. Were I to die tonight, I shouldn't have fear in my bones, for I have looked through all the balls of crystal, cards, and stones. Were I to die tonight, I'd be well set tomorrow noon. I'd simply convince death that he was taking me too soon. Thank you. That is that one. I know, it's fun. Now I'm instinctively snapping. Yes, snap for myself. I'm just that good. I apologize. I did not mean to do that. Yes, so this final poem, this is the spoken word project that I did for poetry class that is very elegantly titled A Poem for Poetry Class. And it's important that you know that within the project, the title and then the subtitle, which is just a spoken word piece conceived by Bryce Yoder, is in Comic Sans. I think that that gives a nice little kind of vibe to what you're about to listen to. So this is a poem for poetry class. I need to write a poem for my poetry class. I don't know what to write. This project's kicking my ass, which is strange because writing poetry is kind of what I do. Something about necessity and art. I don't know. Do you? It doesn't matter though. This poem, it needs to be my best yet. My expectations are high and my standards must be met. I can't just turn in some half-baked Shakespeare repertoire. I need something that conveys intense emotion like today. I want to bleed my heart directly on the page and draw happy little trees with the dripping blood. Sorry, that imagery is a little weird. See, it represents love and joy and pain, but a good poem's metaphors I shouldn't have to explain. This is all wrong. This isn't me. This isn't my style. Sorry, I haven't been on deadline in a while. Let me back up. I need to write a poem for my poetry class. I could write something deep and personal because there are things I'd like you to know, if only because it's been so long since I've told anyone. I could treat this like therapy. Dare we venture into the unknown, or will my mind cause you to become frozen too? Would you care to dive into the taped-off regions of my soul where the cobwebs shimmer in the lava lamp light of my mind on fire? Would you dare to take a plunge in the icy cold rivers of my heart, hoping that I'm not lying when I promise they'll warm up when the guard dogs let down their snarl? Or should I just make this whole thing a farce? Maybe not a farce, but not so dark like some arse using poetry class as a therapy session, which maybe should land me in poetry detention. Perhaps instead I could pull out an AABB rhyme, stick this thing in meter and have a nice little time, tell you about a trip that I took to the beach, but I'm 4 lines in and this is boring. Eesh. I could write a series of sonnets or choke thee with some trochees, make diamonds out of ams. Maybe wow you with some haikus or tickle you with limericks. Step up to see his magic mageness, dazzle you with verbal word tricks. Sit back and watch me carve ink into stone, make each syllable my own, and laugh at those who try to read the chicken scratch. My runes don't come with an English translation, and you might find damnation seeking meaning in my morning as the morning drifts to night and the sun becomes the moon. Good days end too soon and bad days never do. I'm still running on fumes from 2002, but all of these ideas are just things I could do. How meta is too meta? Who or what is this metaphor? Is a deep dive into the ticking mind of a slightly egotistic poet really all that eye-opening? Can I kill 7 minutes and leave you confused when I'm finished? Did you stop listening when I opened this experiment in cheesy rhyme? I did. Maybe you thought my double usage of slang vernacular for one's buttocks was a sin. In that case, let's visit the priest. Confession. This is the 4th different poem I've attempted for this project. Confession. I believe that you all expect something genius from me. Confession. Believing that you all expect something genius from me simultaneously makes me feel like a narcissistic asshole. Confession. Damn it, I said ass again. Confession. The idea for this poem came to me at 3 a.m. and somehow lingered long enough to be written in sunlight. Confession. I really want you to like this poem because within its maze of meta materializes an exact representation of my very soul. Confession, I am not Catholic, and I don't think I understand how confession works. How many Hail Marys is a glimpse into my heart worth? If I stop the poem right there, right after the word worth, it clocks in at exactly 666 words. They weren't lying when they said the devil was in the details. But satanic imagery is not my goal with this poem for poetry class. I want more substance, more moments of abundant joy and side-splitting sass, more moments of pain straight ripped from my existence, each instance one glimpse of how I ended up here. I want this poem to make you feel like you know me. I want you to walk away impressed or enamored or absolutely terrified or utterly confused, but I want you to feel something. I want you to remember something. I won't lie, sometimes I just want to coast by, be the first memory you forget when you move into a new phase of life, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't want this mishmash of words to stick with you. And I think it's because this is what I do. Most things I don't mind if you see then forget, but I regret that writing is the one pride I take, the one thing I do where I don't think I'm fake or untalented or a poser or Bellerophon about to get his ass kicked by Zeus. It's a noose I've yet to tighten around my own neck, because then how would I be able to stick it out every time I put the pen to the paper or my fingers to the keys? A good poem is a cool breeze, and autumn has always been my favorite season, and it's no coincidence that it's for that very reason. Wow, this turned into something I hadn't really conceived. Do you believe that? Do I care if you do? Not really. I just want to write a poem for my poetry class. A poem that's meaningful, memorable, and lasts. A poem that gives you a glimpse into my mind, and if you read it again, you can return anytime. You won't get trapped, and you aren't doomed to stay. But I don't mind the company. There's not much these days. So welcome to the Bryce Mind, Hive Mind soiree. Enjoy my poem for poetry class and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so with that, I do believe that we have reached the end. Claps all around for us. We did it. We did it, everybody.
Yay.
So exciting, so exciting. I don't technically think I'm in charge anymore. I think that ends as soon as the time ends. So I guess it's Elena or Emily or Jen or somebody with...
You got 5 more minutes.
Oh, Christ.
Kidding.
I can read more.
Kidding.
That's on you.
Your poem actually is a fantastic end to the whole thing, right? Because I feel like it's a comment on the poet and poetry in general.
Oh, well, thank you.
I feel like that's a fantastic piece to end on.
I do my best.
Great. Yeah, it was great to hear all of your voices and to hear. I am still of the mind, no matter what, that poetry comes to life, at least for me as a listener and a reader, it just comes to life in the actual voice of the poet. It just takes on new meaning, new life. So I really appreciate all of you being willing to read your work out loud, because for me, it's just fun to hear you guys and to hear the voices with which the
the poems are ultimately meant to be read. So yeah, that was fantastic. I'm so appreciative of this. We should give Elena and Emily and the Crossing staff a big thank you for they organized this whole thing. So we should thank them very much for all of this. Without their hard work and the Crossing staff, this would have just been a no-go, and we would have not had a reading this this time around because of coronavirus, but because of their ingenuity and their creativity, we were able to put this together. So everyone who was involved in putting this together, we are so grateful. Thank you to all of you for doing this. It does my heart good. Yay, everyone. It does my heart good to see all of you. I'm lonely in my house. Like, I'm by myself all day. So I'm like, oh my God, there's people out there. All right.
Feel bad for Sam.
I know, right? He gets home and he's like, oh my God, shut up. I've talked to people all day. I don't want you to talk anymore.
Oh, I didn't like that, but okay.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. All right, friends. Yeah, let's give Bryce a round of applause too for all of his hard work in emceeing us tonight. We're very
I did nothing. Stop it.
You
Stop
did.
it. Seriously. They were like, can you talk for an hour? And I was like, try to stop me.
That's awesome. And last but not least, I think all the poets ought to give themselves a round of applause just because, my gosh, it was amazing to hear all of you read, and I'm so thankful for that. All right, my friends, I am leaving the meeting now. I wish you all the best. If I do not see you, I hope that I see you, but if I do not see you, Godspeed, and you're in my thoughts and prayers, and I miss all of you terribly, and I hope you all are doing well.